You're sitting at your kitchen table at 11 p.m. You've got $200,000 saved. Maybe it's in a Roth IRA. Maybe it's a taxable account. Maybe it's just sitting there after you sold a house or got an inheritance. And you're staring at that number thinking, is this enough? How long does this actually last? You run a quick calculation in your head and it feels like not long enough. Then the panic starts. You close the laptop. You go to bed unsettled. Here's what nobody tells you. The question, how long can I live off $200,000, is the wrong question. It's not about time. It's about your burn rate. And once you understand that, the math gets simple, almost too simple. I'm Mint. I'm going to walk you through the real math. No fluff, no motivational speech, just the numbers that matter and what you actually do with them. Let's start here. $200,000 sounds like a lot until you realize it's not a number, it's a timer. And the timer doesn't tick at the same speed for everyone. If you spend $80,000 a year, you're out in 2.5 years. If you spend $20,000 a year, you've got a decade. Same pile of money. Totally different outcomes. So the first thing you need to know is your annual burn rate. Not your salary, not your income, your actual spending. Most people have no idea what that number is. They know their paycheck, they know their rent, but they don't know the full picture. So here's the move. Pull up your bank statements for the last 3 months. Add up everything you spent. Multiply by 4. That's your yearly burn rate. Do that right now if you haven't. I'll wait. If you want more of these simple money moves, subscribe. I'm Mint. I'll keep it practical. Now that you've got your burn rate, let's apply the most useful rule in retirement math, the 4% rule. Here's how it works. If you have a pile of money invested in a mix of stocks and bonds, you can pull out 4% of it every year, adjust for inflation, and there's a very high chance you won't run out of money for 30 years. The rule comes from something called the Trinity study. It's not perfect, it's not a guarantee, but it's the baseline. Here's the twist. You can flip the 4% rule backwards. Take your annual spending, multiply it by 25. That's how much you need invested to retire. If you spend $40,000 a year, you need $1 million. If you spend $30,000 a year, you need $750,000. If you spend $60,000, you need $1.5 million. It's just math. So back to our $200,000. If you apply the 4% rule, that pile gives you $8,000 a year safely. That's it, $8,000. Now, if you're thinking, I can't live on $8,000 a year, you're right. Most people can't. But here's the part that matters. That $8,000 is your baseline. Everything else has to come from somewhere else. Social Security, a side hustle, a part-time job, rental income, another pot of money. The $200,000 isn't the whole picture. It's one piece. Let me give you 2 real scenarios so this clicks. Scenario 1. You're 55. You've got $200,000 in a Roth IRA. You lost your job. You're thinking about retiring early. You spend $50,000 a year. Can you live off the $200,000? No, not safely. If you pull $50,000 a year, you're out in 4 years. Even if you stretch it and pull less, you're running out before you hit Social Security age. The $200,000 isn't enough on its own. You either need to cut your spending dramatically, find another income source, or keep working until you build the number up. That's the honest answer. Scenario 2. You're 63. You've got $200,000 in a brokerage account. You also get $2,000 a month from Social Security. That's $24,000 a year. You spend $35,000 a year total. Now, can you live off the $200,000? Yes, because you only need to pull $11,000 from it each year to cover the gap. At that rate, even without growth, the $200,000 lasts 18 years. You'd be 81 before it runs dry, and if it's invested and growing at even a modest rate, it lasts longer. This works because the $200,000 is a supplement, not the engine. See the difference? Same amount of money, totally different outcomes. It all comes down to burn rate and what else you've got coming in. Here's the common trap. People either think $200,000 is nothing, or they think it's set for life money. It's neither. It's a tool. And like any tool, it depends on how you use it. If you're 35 and you've got $200,000 saved, that's incredible. You're way ahead. But you're not retiring tomorrow unless your expenses are absurdly low. If you're 70 and you've got $200,000 plus a pension and Social Security, you might be in great shape. Context matters. So let's talk about what actually extends how long $200,000 lasts. There are 3 levers. You can pull any combination of them. Lever 1. Cut your spending. This is the most direct one. If you're burning $50,000 a year and you cut it to $40,000, you just bought yourself more years. And I'm not talking about living like a monk. I'm talking about trimming the fat. Do you really need the $80 cable package? Can you cook 4 nights a week instead of 2? Can you drive your car another 3 years? Small cuts compound. And here's the thing people miss. When you cut spending, you're not just stretching the $200,000, you're also lowering the target number you need to retire. Remember, expenses times 25. If you drop your spending from $50,000 to $40,000, you just reduced your retirement number from $1.25 million to $1 million. That's $250,000 you don't have to save. Cutting spending is the fastest way to move the needle. Lever 2. Let the money grow. If the $200,000 is sitting in a savings account earning 0.5%, it's basically dead money. But if it's invested in a diversified portfolio, stocks, bonds, maybe some REITs, it's working for you. Historically, a balanced portfolio grows at around 6.7% a year after inflation. That's not guaranteed. Some years it tanks. Some years it rips. But over time, growth smooths out. If you're pulling 4% and it's growing at 6%, the pile actually gets bigger even as you spend from it. That's the magic.
The money funds itself, but this only works if you're not pulling too much and if you give it time.
If you're yanking out 30 grand a year from a $200,000 pile, growth doesn't save you. You're still bleeding out. Lever 3. Add income. This is the one people sleep on. If you can bring in even $500 a month from something, freelancing, part-time work, renting out a room, dividends from investments, you just reduced how much you need to pull from the $200,000. $500 a month is $6,000 a year. That's $6,000 you're not touching. Over 20 years, that's $120,000 you didn't burn through. And it doesn't have to be hard. A few hours a week doing something you don't hate. That's a mint move. Even a little income completely changes the math. Here's another way to think about it. The 4% rule assumes you retire at 65 and need the money to last 30 years. But what if you're not 65? What if you're 50 or 75? The timeline changes everything. If you're 75 with $200,000, you might only need it to last 15 years. You can pull more than 4% and still be fine. If you're 50, you might need it to last 40 years. You probably can't pull 4%. You might need to pull 3% or even less. The younger you are, the more conservative you have to be. Let's do one more example to lock this in. You're 60. You've got $200,000 in a 401k. You're planning to work until 67, then start Social Security. Right now, you spend $45,000 a year. At 67, Social Security will give you $2,500 a month. That's $30,000 a year. So you'll need to pull $15,000 annually from the $200,000 to cover the gap. At that rate, the $200,000 lasts about 13 years, putting you at age 80. But here's the move. You cut your spending now while you're still working. You get it down to $40,000 a year. Now you only need to pull $10,000 annually from the $200,000. That stretches it to 20 years. You're now covered until 87. And if the account grows even modestly, it lasts even longer. That's what I mean by levers. A small spending cut today buys you years of breathing room later. Here's the brutal part. Most people don't fail because they don't have enough money. They fail because they don't know their number. They retire with $200,000 and spend like they have $500,000. Or they're so scared of running out that they don't spend anything and live miserably. Both are mistakes.
The goal isn't to hoard money. The goal is to know your burn rate, know what the pile can safely give you, and build your life around that.
So what do you actually do with all this? 3 moves. Move 1. Figure out your real annual spending. Not what you think you spend, what you actually spend. Track it for 3 months. Multiply by 4. That's your number. Write it down. Move 2. Take that number and multiply it by 25. That's your full retirement target. Now look at your $200,000. How far is it from the target? If you're halfway there, great. Keep saving. If you're 10% there, you've got work to do.
But now you know the gap.
Move 3. Run the scenarios. Plug your numbers into a retirement calculator. Play with the levers. What happens if you cut spending by $5,000 a year? What if you work 2 more years? What if you add a side income stream? The calculator shows you the runway. And once you see it, the fog lifts. You stop guessing and start planning. One more thing. $200,000 might not be enough to fully retire on. But it's not nothing. It's a head start. It's a cushion. It's optionality. And if you treat it right, it can bridge a gap, buy you time, or carry you further than you think. The trick is knowing what it can and can't do.
So here's the recap. How long can you live off $200,000?
It depends entirely on your burn rate. The 4% rule says $200,000 safely gives you $8,000 a year. If you need more than that, you need additional income or a bigger pile. You've got 3 levers. Cut spending, let the money grow, or add income. Use them, know your number, run the scenarios, and stop treating retirement like a mystery. It's just math. If you want to know what to do if you're starting from zero or how to catch up fast, watch that video next. I break down the exact steps I'm meant. See you there.